Breaking news! This is a fascinating shakeup in Berea. The Browns front office isn't slowing down, even in the thick of a crowded preseason battle. A lot has happened, and the latest news has generated a lot of buzz. So hit the like button and join me as I keep you up to date with what's happening at the Cleveland Browns. Picture this. The defensive front is already loaded with Pro Bowler Myles Garrett wrecking shop, Isaiah McGuire, and Alex Wright fighting for every rep, and a fresh free agent splash in Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Now, they've just added former New England Patriots defensive end Titus Leo, a player whose NFL journey so far has been nothing short of a whirlwind. Drafted in the 6th round in 2023 by the Indianapolis Colts, Leo never played it down for them due to an early injury. He spent last season mostly in the shadows, logging just 4 games with the Patriots, making 4 tackles and defending 1 pass in only 9 defensive snaps. At 6 feet 3 inches and 245 pounds, he brings versatility, the kind of player who can rush with his hand in the dirt or stand up on the edge. But the question is, can he actually crack this roster? The Browns even released wide receiver Chase Cota just to make room for him, showing there's at least some intrigue in what he brings. Still, breaking into this rotation will be no small task, especially with the team also deep at defensive tackle thanks to Malik Collins, Mason Graham, Mike Hall Jr., and Shelby Harris. And with linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah sidelined for the season, there's an outside shot we see Leo used in a more hybrid role if he impresses in camp. But as the defensive side shuffles, the real soap opera is happening under center. The Browns have 6 quarterbacks on the roster right now. Deshaun Watson is injured, which leaves veterans and rookies in a high-stakes battle for Week 1. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and newly added Tyler Huntley are all vying for a spot. And here's the kicker, Gabriel, a 3rd-round pick this April, already drew multiple trade offers just hours after being drafted. Teams reportedly saw enough in his pre-draft interviews and mental processing to consider him as high as the 4th round, proving Cleveland didn't reach for him as some suggested. Still, it's hard to imagine the Browns flipping him now unless an offer blows them away. Huntley, being the last arrival, seems the most expendable, and Watson won't take a 53-man roster spot while recovering. Head coach Kevin Stefanski is keeping the suspense high, with Mary Kay Cabot reporting he could name his Week 1 starter as soon as the team's 2nd preseason game wraps up against Philadelphia. That timing is key. The Browns' final preseason tune-up against the Rams is on August 23rd, and having the starters set by then would allow the offense to fully gel before the Bengals come to town on September 7th. Flacco currently holds QB1 status, Pickett and Gabriel are nursing injuries, and Sanders, despite his strong 14 of 23, 138-yard, 2-touchdown debut against Carolina, remains buried at QB4. That's where things get really interesting. Sanders was electric in his preseason showcase, taking advantage of extra reps while others were sidelined. And yet, Stefanski's Week 2 depth chart still has him looking up at everyone but Huntley. It's almost counterintuitive. The only healthy young QB is the one sitting at the bottom. The staff clearly values experience and system familiarity right now, which keeps Flacco on top, but with injuries still in play, the story isn't finished. If Gabriel or Pickett misses more time, Sanders could leapfrog into meaningful snaps. And if the Browns choose not to carry 4 quarterbacks into the regular season, a trade scenario for either Gabriel or Sanders suddenly becomes a very real possibility. The question for fans is this: with so many moving parts, an overhauled defensive line rotation, a quarterback room bursting at the seams, and a ticking clock on naming the starter, where should the Browns truly place their focus? Do they gamble on upside with a young passer like Sanders or Gabriel, or trust the steady hand of Joe Flacco? And on defense, will Titus Leo be just a training camp footnote, or could he be the unexpected depth piece that pays off when the games count? Drop your thoughts. How do you see these battles shaking out? And as if the Browns' quarterback drama wasn't already enough to keep fans glued to every practice report, the underlying stakes for 2025 make it even spicier. This is a team that tasted the playoffs in 2023 on the back of a dominant number 1 ranked defense, only to watch that same unit take a step backward last season. Now, they're trying to recapture that magic with new pieces in the trenches and a quarterback puzzle that's as unpredictable as Cleveland's late-season weather. Every preseason snap feels magnified, not just because jobs are on the line, but because the front office has made it clear they're not afraid to move pieces around if it means fielding a contender by Week 1. For Titus Leo, the path ahead is clear but steep. The Browns' defensive edge room isn't just crowded, it's stacked with players in their prime and prospects they've invested in heavily. Myles Garrett is the unquestioned anchor. Alex Wright and Isaiah McGuire are still developing but bring size, length, and raw athleticism. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka arrives with first-round pedigree and a point to prove after an underwhelming stint in Tampa Bay. Even rotational spots will be fought over with desperation. For Leo, that means every rep in camp has to pop on film, burst off the line, discipline contained, special teams hustle, anything to give the coaches a reason to keep him over a more established name. With Owusu Koromoa's injury potentially opening up creative defensive looks, Leo's hybrid potential could be the one card that gets him in the door. Meanwhile, the quarterback room is a chessboard in motion. Stefanski's patience in naming a starter may not just be about evaluation, it could be tactical. Joe Flacco's experience makes him the safe choice for Week 1 against the Bengals' aggressive front, but Kenny Pickett's ability to move the pocket and Dylan Gabriel's quick processing offer different stylistic wrinkles. The intrigue deepens with Shedeur Sanders. If he strings together another efficient performance in Week 2 against the Eagles' backups, the fan pressure to elevate him will only grow louder. But here's the reality, preseason heroics don't always translate when defensive coordinators game plan for you, and Stefanski knows it. That's why he's keeping Sanders low in the rotation despite his early spark. It forces him to prove it wasn't a one-off. And then there's the shadow conversation no one in Berea wants to talk about yet, the trade market. With multiple teams already sniffing around Dylan Gabriel during draft weekend, what happens if another franchise comes calling with a mid-round pick before roster cutdowns? The Browns could keep 4 quarterbacks, but that's a luxury few teams can afford when depth is needed elsewhere. The calculus changes if injuries linger into September, but for now, it's a balancing act between showcasing talent in preseason and protecting roster flexibility. This is where the Browns' 2025 preseason feels different. It's not just a battle for starting jobs, it's a fight for roster survival. Veterans like Flacco know exactly how to manage the moment. Rookies like Sanders and Gabriel are treating every drive like it's their NFL audition tape. Players like Titus Leo are trying to prove they belong in the same room as Pro Bowlers. And through it all, the coaching staff is trying to assemble not just the most talented 53-man roster, but the right combination of youth, experience, and adaptability to handle a 17-game grind. So the tension builds. Will Flacco's calm, steady hand carry the offense into the season, or will Stefanski gamble on the future and hand the keys to a younger passer? Will Titus Leo make enough noise to turn heads, or will he quietly fade into the background of a loaded defensive rotation? And perhaps most importantly, when the Browns take the field against Cincinnati, will we be looking at a team that used the preseason chaos to sharpen itself into a contender, or one still trying to figure out its own identity? Browns fans, the clock is ticking. You've seen the moves, you've heard the rumors, and you know the stakes. Who do you want under center when Week 1 kicks off? Should the team roll with experience or take a leap of faith on a younger QB? And defensively, could Titus Leo be the underdog story this camp needs? Sound off in the comments, your take might be right in the middle of the conversation when this roster finally takes shape. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Go Browns!